We've recently heard the heartbreaking news of the passing of some of our beloved heroes, legends who shaped our world through their talent, creativity, and passion. In this video, we take a moment to honor their lives, revisit the legacy they've left behind, and reflect on the impact they made in the hearts of millions. Meanwhile, everyday people continue to pass away. Today alone, 3,780 deaths were officially recorded. Their presence may be gone, but each one, celebrity or not, leaves behind memories and moments that shape our collective story. In the peaceful town of Cazenovia, New York, a spark was born on September 21st, 1969. One that would later ignite kitchens and hearts across America. Ann Burrell, with her unmistakable platinum blonde hair and electric personality, grew up surrounded by the warmth of family dinners and the inspiration of cooking legends. She was drawn to food from an early age, influenced by her mother's meals and television chefs like Julia Child. Anne first pursued a degree in English and communications at Canisius College, but her heart led her elsewhere, to the heat and harmony of the kitchen. She enrolled in the Culinary Institute of America, graduating in 1996. Hungry for more, she studied in Italy, training at the Italian Culinary Institute for foreigners and working in regional kitchens that sharpened her rustic Italian style and deepened her love for bold flavors. Returning to New York, Anne built her reputation in top-tier kitchens, including Falidia and Savoy, before becoming executive chef at Centro Vinoteca. But it was in front of a camera that her star truly rose. She first appeared as Mario Batali's sous chef on Iron Chef America. And soon after, she captivated audiences with her own show, Secrets of a Restaurant Chef. Anne made professional techniques feel accessible, her voice both commanding and kind. From 2010 onward, Anne became a household name as the tough yet lovable mentor on Worst Cooks in America. Over more than 20 seasons, she transformed disaster-prone contestants into confident cooks. She mentored with passion, humor, and unwavering support, never giving up on anyone. Off-screen, Anne authored best-selling cookbooks and supported charitable causes, including children's health and hunger relief. In 2021, she married Stuart Claxton and embraced her role as stepmother with the same enthusiasm she brought to every kitchen. But on June 17th, 2025, the culinary world was stunned. Anne Burrell was found unresponsive in her Brooklyn home and was pronounced dead at the age of 55. Her passing left a void that echoed far beyond the food world. Tribute. Anne Burrell was more than a chef. She was a teacher, a trailblazer, and a fearless spirit. She believed that everyone could cook, and through her laughter, her lessons, and her legacy, she made the kitchen a place of joy and empowerment. Her flame burned brightly, and though she's gone, her light continues in every home she inspired. Rest in peace, Chef Anne. You taught us to cook like rock stars, and to live like one too. Born on April 25th, 1930, in Yazoo City, Mississippi, Lynn Hamilton's life began in the heart of the American South, a region rich in culture, yet riddled with challenges for a young black girl in the early 20th century. Her family later moved to Chicago, Illinois, where she was raised and educated. And it was there, among the vibrant tapestry of the city's arts and civil rights movements, that her passion for the stage began to take root. From her earliest days, Lynn exuded a quiet strength, a dignity that would define her life and her work. She studied acting at Goodman Theater in Chicago, one of the oldest and most respected theater schools in the nation. The young actress honed her craft in stage productions before making the leap to television, where she would become a fixture in living rooms across America. Her breakout role came in the 1970s, when she was cast as Donna Harris, Fred Sanford's patient and loving girlfriend on the hit sitcom Sanford and Son. Lynn brought warmth, intelligence, and grace to a role that could have easily been played for laughs alone. Her chemistry with Red Fox lit up the screen, and audiences responded to her presence with affection and admiration. She portrayed Donna not just as a romantic interest, but as a fully realized woman, a nurse, a caregiver, and a steady emotional center in Fred Sanford's chaotic world. But Lynn Hamilton was not content with just one iconic role. She continued to work in television and film throughout the 1980s and 1990s, appearing in shows such as The Waltons, The Golden Girls, 227, and Roots: The Next Generations. Her versatility allowed her to move effortlessly between comedy and drama, always elevating the material with a calm, grounded performance style that became her trademark. As a Black actress in an industry that often marginalized women of color, Lynn Hamilton was a quiet pioneer. She didn't storm the gates of Hollywood with controversy or confrontation. She walked through them with grace, talent, and unwavering dignity. Her roles may not have always been at the forefront of the marquee, but her presence was essential, representing strength, tenderness, and resilience in a time when those qualities were too often overlooked in Black women on screen. In her later years, Lynn stepped away from the spotlight, content to let her work speak for itself. She lived a long, peaceful life, surrounded by family and the legacy of a career that had touched millions. On June 19, 2025, Lynn Hamilton passed away at the age of 95. Her departure marked the end of an era, but her spirit endures. In every rerun, every heartfelt performance, every moment she brought honesty and humanity to her craft. Tribute closing. Lynn Hamilton didn't need a spotlight to shine. She was a beacon, steady, enduring, and full of quiet light. Her performances comforted, inspired, and uplifted. In an age of spectacle, she reminded us of the power of simplicity and truth. She is gone, but never forgotten. A nurse to Fred Sanford, a mother in our memories, and a lady of the stage and screen, Lynn Hamilton remains a cherished part of television history. Thank you, Lynn, for the love, for the laughter, and for the legacy. Amen? In a time when television was loud, chaotic, and often superficial, a calm, powerful voice broke through the noise. That voice belonged to Ananda Lewis. Born on March 21, 1973, in Los Angeles, California, Ananda was destined for more than just the spotlight. She was destined to make people feel something real. Raised with a deep sense of awareness and a hunger for truth, she carried those values into every space she entered. Her rise began not with glamour, but with heart. Before the world knew her face, Ananda was already speaking truth to power as a trained orator and student of history. But her first major leap into the public eye came as the host of BET's Teen Summit in the 1990s, a platform that allowed young people to express themselves in a world that often silenced them. She wasn't just a host. She was a big sister, a truth teller, a lighthouse, one former viewer recalled. She made us feel seen. In 1997, Ananda joined MTV, where she became one of the most recognizable and respected faces of the network during its cultural peak. She brought empathy and insight to a platform often driven by celebrity hype. Whether she was interviewing pop icons or tackling serious social issues, she did it all with her signature blend of grace, compassion, and unshakable strength. Her interviews were never just conversations. They were moments where vulnerability lived, where the masks came off, where viewers learned that fame did not make one immune to pain. Ananda had a rare gift. She didn't talk at people. She connected with them. By the early 2000s, Ananda launched The Ananda Lewis Show, a daytime talk show that reflected her deeper mission to uplift, educate, and empower. It was short-lived by network standards, but unforgettable for those who needed it. Then, she stepped away. In a world obsessed with being seen, Ananda chose privacy, motherhood, and purpose. But even as she left the daily grind of television, her voice never faded. She continued to advocate, quietly, fiercely, for women, for Black communities, and for self-love. In 2020, she made headlines again. This time, not for a red carpet moment, but for her raw revelation. She was battling stage 3 breast cancer. The news shook fans and friends alike, but Ananda didn't ask for pity. She asked for action. She encouraged women, especially women of color, to prioritize their health, to get checked, to speak up. "I was afraid, but silence is more dangerous than fear," she once said in a candid video that moved millions. On June 11th, 2025, the world lost a guiding light. At 52 years old, Ananda Lewis passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. But her legacy? It remains anything but quiet. Her journey, from an outspoken teenager to a national voice for truth, is a testament to what can happen when brilliance meets purpose. She gave young people permission to be intelligent. She gave survivors a place to be strong. She gave her audience more than entertainment. She gave them themselves. Tribute. Ananda didn't just interview stars, she was one. And not the kind that burns out fast and loud. She was the steady kind, the kind that guides you home. As we remember her today, we don't mourn a celebrity. We honor a teacher, a sister, a warrior, her laughter, her bravery, her truth. These echoes will never fade. Thank you, Ananda, for showing us what it means to live fully, speak boldly, and love deeply. Your light lives on. Lauren Ruch was born in 1970, a year of transformation and imagination. A fitting backdrop for a man who would spend his life transforming television into a space of joy, creativity, and human connection. From an early age, Lauren showed a fascination with storytelling, not just telling stories, but shaping how people experience them. Whether through set design, tone, or pacing, Lauren instinctively knew how to turn the everyday into something extraordinary. His journey through television began modestly but quickly gathered momentum. With a sharp eye for trends and an innate sense of what viewers wanted, often before they even knew it themselves, Lauren's career ascended through the ranks of network television. But it was at HGTV, the network that would come to define a significant part of his legacy, where Lauren Ruch truly found his calling. Joining HGTV during a time of growth, Lauren helped shepherd the network from a niche lifestyle brand into a cultural powerhouse. As an executive, he played a pivotal role in developing and greenlighting shows that would become household staples. Under his guidance, HGTV evolved into a brand that didn't just broadcast home improvement. It inspired dreams, encouraged self-expression, and gave families a vision for their own lives. But Lauren wasn't content to simply work behind the scenes. As host of HGTV House Party, he brought warmth, wit, and sincerity to screens across the country. His presence was magnetic, unpretentious, joyful, and always genuinely curious about the people and stories behind the projects. Viewers didn't just watch Lauren, they welcomed him into their homes, episode after episode. Lauren's style was unmistakable. He had a producer's mind and a performer's heart. He understood pacing, energy, emotion, but also authenticity. In an industry often known for its artifice, Lauren stood out for being real. To colleagues, he was a mentor. To viewers, he was a friend. And to those lucky enough to know him personally, he was a brilliant soul with a contagious laugh and a relentless drive to create. Lauren Ruch passed away on June 12, 2025, at the age of 55. far too soon. His passing left a palpable silence across the HGTV family, the broader entertainment community, and the millions who felt connected to him through a screen. But his legacy lives on, not only in the shows he shaped or the network he helped elevate, but in the way he redefined lifestyle television as something intimate, inclusive, and endlessly joyful. Tribute. Lauren Rook was more than a television executive. He was an architect of experience, a builder of joy, color, and connection. In a world where content is constant, Lauren reminded us that what we create matters most when it makes people feel seen, inspired, and at home. HGTV may stand for Home and Garden Television, but to so many, it stood for heart, guidance, vision, all qualities Lauren brought with him to every meeting, every project, and every conversation. We remember him not only for what he built, but how he made others believe in building something better, on screen, in our homes, and in our lives. Rest in peace, Lauren. You made television a more beautiful place, and more importantly, you made people feel like they belonged in it. It began on a sun-drenched street in Hawthorne, California, on June 20th, 1942. A boy named Brian Douglas Wilson was born, unassuming, sensitive, and brimming with musical genius that would one day echo across oceans, radio waves, and generations. As the eldest of three brothers, Brian grew up in a household marked by both music and hardship. His father, Murray, was a demanding man, but he instilled in Brian a tireless work ethic and deep respect for craft. By the time Brian was a teenager, he had already mastered harmonies, piano, bass guitar, and arranging music in a way that defied his years. He wasn't just listening to sounds, he was studying them, feeling them, shaping them into stories. In 1961, alongside his brothers Carl and Dennis, cousin Mike Love, and friend Al Jardine, Brian co-founded a band that would soon become the voice of the California dream, the Beach Boys. At first, the world knew them for their sun-soaked harmonies, surf anthems, and youthful energy. Songs like Surfin' USA, Fun, 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 and California Girls. But behind the upbeat melodies was Brian Wilson, quietly revolutionizing what pop music could be. In 1966, he gave the world Pet Sounds, a masterpiece of emotional depth and sonic innovation. It was more than an album. It was a symphony of longing, vulnerability, and pure creativity. Paul McCartney called it his favorite album of all time. From God Only Knows to Wouldn't It Be Nice, Wilson elevated pop music into art. He followed it with Good Vibrations, a single that took 6 months to complete and redefine the possibilities of studio production. But genius often comes with a cost. As the years wore on, Brian's battles with mental illness, depression, and drug addiction took center stage. He withdrew from public life for long periods, suffering silently as the music world moved on. Yet he never stopped creating, and the world never stopped waiting. In the late 1980s and 1990s, Brian staged a comeback, timid at first but powerful in its resilience. He released solo albums, toured, and finally saw Smile, his once-abandoned masterpiece, completed in 2004 to critical acclaim. The world, it seemed, had finally caught up to Brian Wilson's brilliance. Over his lifetime, Brian Wilson was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, honored at the Kennedy Center, and celebrated by fellow musicians as a pioneer, a poet, and a prophet of sound. But more importantly, he gave voice to emotion, joy, pain, love, and everything in between. On June 11, 2025, Brian Wilson passed away at the age of 82. As the news spread, tributes poured in from every corner of the world, from fans, fellow artists, and those who had been forever changed by his music. Tribute closing. Brian Wilson wasn't just the heart of the Beach Boys. He was the heart of American music, one that beat with childlike wonder, aching honesty, and boundless creativity. He showed us that surfboards and sunshine could coexist with shadows and silence. That harmony was more than sound. It was salvation. The world is quieter now, but somewhere, in the hush of ocean waves or the soft echo of a distant melody, his voice still sings. God only knows what we'd be without you, Brian. Thank you for everything. Harris Yulin was born on November 5th, 1937, in Los Angeles, California, into a world just beginning to understand the power of motion pictures. As the film industry grew, so did Yulin's fascination with the depth of human character. And he would go on to dedicate his life to portraying it with unforgettable intensity. Though born in the film capital of the world, Yulin's path to screen legend was far from conventional. He began his acting journey in the theater, making his stage debut in New York in the early 1960s. Those who saw him in those early years recall a presence that was magnetic, grounded, intense, and intellectually sharp. His command of dialogue and nuance made him a natural fit for serious drama, and his reputation among peers grew steadily. His big screen breakthrough came in the 1983 cult classic Scarface, where he played the corrupt Miami cop Mel Bernstein opposite Al Pacino's Tony Montana. In just a few scenes, Yulin delivered a performance that oozed menace, authority, and moral decay, earning him a permanent place in the annals of film history. That role, and others like it, showcased his rare ability to be both intimidating and captivating, often portraying morally ambiguous or complex authority figures with unsettling realism. Over the decades, Yulin appeared in dozens of films and television series. From Clear and Present Danger to Ghostbusters 2, from Law and Order to Frasier, and more recently, as the grizzled crime boss Buddy Dwyer in Netflix's hit series Ozark, he delivered performances that stayed with audiences long after the credits rolled. In Ozark, his portrayal of a terminally ill ex-cartel enforcer turned reluctant mentor was layered with weariness, wisdom, and flashes of brutal truth. It was a role that encapsulated everything Harris Yulin had become as an actor: fierce, cerebral, and utterly compelling. Yulin was never a household name in the traditional sense, but among actors, directors, and true film lovers, he was something far greater: a master of craft, a character actor in title only. He inhabited every role as if it were the lead. Whether playing a corrupt judge, a weary bureaucrat, a sinister villain, or a man simply wrestling with his own failings, he brought depth and dignity to every part. Behind this camera, Harris Yulin was known as a thoughtful, cultured man with a dry wit and a deep love of literature and music. He also directed for the stage and mentored young actors, always reminding them that truth in performance was more important than fame. He believed in doing the work, not for the applause, but for the story. On June 19, 2025, Harris Yulin passed away at the age of 87. The news rippled quietly through the entertainment world, just as his performances always had. A quiet force with lasting impact. Tribute closing. Harris Yulin didn't need the spotlight. He was the light in dark corners of stories, illuminating shadows, asking hard questions, and reminding us that even the supporting roles carry the soul of a narrative. He once said that acting wasn't about pretending. It was about remembering what it means to be human. We will remember, Harris. Always. Thank you for the honesty, the danger, and the grace. Rest well, old friend. Movie film. Born as Luigi Alfredo Giovanni Sacco on February 19, 1943, in Glen Willard, Pennsylvania, Lou Christie was a force of nature from the start. With a deep Italian-American heritage and a small-town upbringing along the Ohio River, Christie found his passion for music early on, By his teenage years, his ethereal falsetto could be heard echoing through school halls and local clubs, a voice unlike any other, haunting, powerful, and utterly unforgettable. Lou's breakthrough came in 1962 with his debut hit, The Gypsy Cried, co-written with his lifelong collaborator and lyricist Twyla Herbert. But it was in 1966 that Lou Christie catapulted to national fame with the chart-topping smash Lightning Strikes. The song captured the raw emotion and conflict of romantic desire, and its soaring falsetto lines became Christie's signature. It was bold, electric, and unabashedly dramatic, everything pop music needed in that moment. With that hit, Christie didn't just enter the American pop pantheon, he electrified it. During the mid to late 1960s, Christie enjoyed his prime, releasing hits like Rhapsody in the Rain, which was one of the first songs to be banned for its suggestive content. Yet another sign that Lou was always ahead of his time. While his contemporaries often faded with the changing tides of music, Christie remained a singular voice, balancing teen angst, operatic intensity, and lyrical storytelling. He didn't just sing love songs, he performed emotional dramas in 3-minute symphonies. As the decades passed, Christie continued to tour and record, especially finding a new audience during the nostalgia booms of the 1980s and 1990s. He appeared on PBS specials, oldies radio, and in retro concerts, performing to crowds that span generations. His live shows were a testament to his enduring voice, still soaring, still sharp. Behind the scenes, Christie was known as a generous spirit, a meticulous songwriter, and a fierce advocate for artistic freedom. He never conformed, never softened his sound to fit the times. He was a proud original, and it showed. On June 18, 2025, Lou Christie passed away at the age of 82, leaving behind a musical legacy carved in vinyl, radio waves, and the memories of millions. His death marked the end of an era, a moment of silence in the long thunderstorm of rock and roll history. Tribute. Lou Christie wasn't just a singer, he was a sensation. A trailblazer who fused pop with operatic emotion, who dared to sing from the heart and from the heights of the heavens. His falsetto wasn't just high, it was limitless. Songs like Lightning Strikes and Two Faces Have I remain timeless, still spinning on turntables and playlists, still causing chills. In a world of imitators, Lou Christie was the original storm, a bright flash in music's sky that still resonates with force. Today, we remember him not only for the songs he gave us, but for the feeling he left behind, a mixture of passion, heartbreak, and wonder. Rest in harmony, Lou. The lightning may have struck long ago, but its echo will never fade. In the heart of Los Angeles, California, on November 10, 1934, Philippa Pippa Scott entered the world, a bright-eyed child of Hollywood lineage, daughter to actress Laura Straub and screenwriter Alan Scott. Raised amidst the golden glow of Tinseltown, Pippa's destiny seemed writ in celluloid. From her earliest days, Pippa demonstrated both artistic flair and intellectual curiosity. She studied at UCLA and then Radcliffe, even training at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London. Her embrace of both stage and scholarly pursuits revealed a woman shaped by depth and discipline. At just 21, Pippa made her Broadway debut in Child of Fortune, earning a Theatre World Award. Soon, Warner Brothers snapped her up. Her first major screen role came in John Ford's epic The Searchers, 1956, where she played Lucy Edwards, delivering a performance both tender and emotionally resonant opposite John Wayne. Through the late 1950s and 1960s, Pippa graced both screen and television with poise. In the Twilight Zone episode, The Trouble with Templeton, 1960, she memorably transformed into Laura Templeton, her graceful presence matched only by her depth of nuance. She also appeared in Auntie Mame, episodes of Gunsmoke, Have Gun, Will Travel, Perry Mason, The Dick Van Dyke Show, and even Columbo, each performance marked by authenticity and quiet strength. As traditional roles slowed in the 1970s and 80s, Pippa continued acting sporadically. Yet off-screen, she discovered a powerful voice in advocacy, championing human rights, supporting investigations into the Bosnian genocide under the UN, and raising awareness through grounded compassion. She married television producer Lee Rich in 1964, and they had 2 children. Though divorced in 1983, they reconnected in 1996 and remained close until his passing in 2012, a testament to enduring connection. In 2009 to 2013, Pippa returned for select roles, notably Footprints, 2011, earning a Method Fest nomination, proof that her artistry retained its spark even in later years. On May 22, 2025, at age 90, Pippa Scott passed away at her Santa Monica home from congenital heart failure. She left behind 2 children and a legacy of grace, on camera, in activism, and in life. Pippa Scott was a rare blend of elegance and empathy, a performer whose expressive eyes and quiet clarity lent authenticity to every role. She lifted every scene, whether in grand Western vistas or intimate living rooms of 1960s television. But beyond the lights, she was a citizen of conscience, using her voice to confront injustice and human suffering. Her journey reminds us artistry and advocacy can walk hand in hand. We honor her today not just for the characters she brought to life, but for the courage of her convictions. She stood for depth, dignity, and dignity in struggle. As we bid farewell to Philippa Pippa Scott, let us celebrate a life lived with purpose, filled with craft, compassion, and an ever-lingering legacy. May she rest peacefully, and may her story continue to inspire. Born as Luigi Alfredo Giovanni Sacco on February 19, 1943, in Glen Willard, Pennsylvania, Lou Christie was a force of nature from the start. With a deep Italian-American heritage and a small-town upbringing along the Ohio River, Christie found his passion for music early on. By his teenage years, his ethereal falsetto could be heard echoing through school halls and local clubs, a voice unlike any other, haunting, powerful, and utterly unforgettable. Lou's breakthrough came in 1962 with his debut hit, The Gypsy Cried, co-written with his lifelong collaborator and lyricist, Twyla Herbert. But it was in 1966 that Lou Christie catapulted to national fame with the chart-topping smash Lightning Strikes. The song captured the raw emotion and conflict of romantic desire, and its soaring falsetto lines became Christie's signature. It was bold, electric, and unabashedly dramatic, everything pop music needed in that moment. With that hit, Christie didn't just enter the American pop pantheon, he electrified it. During the mid to late 1960s, Christie enjoyed his prime, releasing hits like Rhapsody in the Rain, which was one of the first songs to be banned for its suggestive content. Yet another sign that Lou was always ahead of his time. While his contemporaries often faded with the changing tides of music, Christie remained a singular voice, balancing teen angst, operatic intensity, and lyrical storytelling. He didn't just sing love songs, he performed emotional dramas in 3-minute symphonies. As the decades passed, Christie continued to tour and record, especially finding a new audience during the nostalgia booms of the 1980s and 1990s. He appeared on PBS specials, oldies radio, and in retro concerts, performing to crowds that span generations. His live shows were a testament to his enduring voice, still soaring, still sharp. Behind the scenes, Christie was known as a generous spirit, a meticulous songwriter, and a fierce advocate for artistic freedom. He never conformed, never softened his sound to fit the times. He was a proud original, And it showed. On June 18, 2025, Lou Christie passed away at the age of 82, leaving behind a musical legacy carved in vinyl, radio waves, and the memories of millions. His death marked the end of an era, a moment of silence in the long thunderstorm of rock and roll history. Tribute. Lou Christie wasn't just a singer. He was a sensation. A trailblazer who fused pop with operatic emotion, who dared to sing from the heart and from the heights of the heavens. His falsetto wasn't just high, it was limitless. Songs like Lightning Strikes and Two Faces Have I remain timeless, still spinning on turntables and playlists, still causing chills. In a world of imitators, Lou Christie was the original storm, a bright flash in music's sky that still resonates with force. Today, we remember him not only for the songs he gave us, but for the feeling he left behind, a mixture of passion, heartbreak, and wonder. Rest in harmony, Lou. The lightning may have struck long ago, but its echo will never fade. In the sweet rhythms of R&B and the heartfelt lyrics of love songs that defined a generation, the name Wayne Lewis resonates with unmistakable soul. Born on April 13, 1957, in White Plains, New York, Wayne grew up in a time when music was not just entertainment. It was identity, revolution, and healing. He came from a musical family, and from an early age, it was clear that Wayne wasn't just going to play music. He was going to live it. Alongside his brothers David and Jonathan, he channeled his early talent into the formation of a band that would soon become a cornerstone of R&B history, Atlantic Starr. In the late 1970s, Atlantic Starr burst onto the scene with a unique blend of funk, soul, pop, and romance, and Wayne Lewis stood at the center. Keyboardist, singer, songwriter, and co-founder. His silky vocals and melodic sensibilities helped shape hits that transcended charts to become soundtracks to weddings, breakups, and quiet moments in between. Songs like Secret Lovers, Always, and Send For Me carried his fingerprints, smooth arrangements, sincere lyrics, and that unmistakable warmth in his voice. Wayne was never loud in the spotlight, but his sound spoke volumes. He could glide effortlessly between background harmonies and front and center balladry, always with soul, always with class. In a world that changed rapidly around him, technologically, culturally, musically, Wayne stayed grounded in the purity of expression. He wasn't just chasing trends. He was building timelessness. Atlantic Starr's biggest hit, Always, released in 1987, is more than just a song. It's a promise. That iconic duet, with Wayne leading the male vocal, topped the Billboard charts and became an anthem of eternal love. Decades later, it still plays at weddings, anniversaries, and quiet Sunday mornings. That's what Wayne did. He gave us music that stayed. But Wayne Lewis was more than a voice and a keyboard. He was a visionary leader within the band, often directing musical arrangements, managing the group's creative direction, and mentoring younger artists who looked up to him, not just for his talent, but for his humility. Offstage, Wayne was a family man, a faithful believer, and a thoughtful, soft-spoken figure who cherished deep conversations and a good laugh. In his later years, he continued to perform, produce, and even speak at churches and musical gatherings, often giving credit to God and to his family for everything he had achieved. On June 5, 2025, Wayne Lewis passed away at the age of 68, leaving behind a legacy of music that touched millions. His passing marked the end of a golden era, but his melodies, his harmonies, and his unmistakable voice will forever echo in the hearts of those who listened. Tribute closing. Wayne Lewis didn't just write love songs, he lived them with sincerity, grace, and purpose. In a world full of noise, he gave us harmony. In a business full of flash, he gave us soul, and in every note he played, every lyric he sang, Wayne left us a message. That love, true, enduring love, is always worth singing about. Rest in eternal harmony, Wayne. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the love. Piano.